Hey guys, today I'll be answering this question of why is it that advice you don't really follow advice after leaving an abusive relationship. By advice here, it's been, let's say your friends keeps advising you like, hey, leave the relationship. Hey, I've seen them doing this. Hey, they are lying to you. Your parents are also telling you that, hey, stay. Hey, leave the relationship. Like people are giving you this good advice, which from the greater scheme of things, or from the grand scheme of things, is very very good advice. Even your best friend, even that, even your children are telling you, mom or dad, please do this, please leave the relationship. Why is it that you don't really listen to this advice? Actually, the first thing you have to understand is this: advice sometimes actually just hits the surface or just scratches the surface, because something about advice is coming from their perspective of the situation. So it's how those people see it. So it's like an external thing. But on a deeper level, the mind will always reject. Like now, what is the subconscious part of the mind? It will reject the advice, because that part of the mind which has gotten accustomed to that environment you are in. Let's say if you've been in a toxic relationship for 10 years, 5 years, your mind has gotten accustomed to the abuse. Your mind has gotten accustomed to the emotional abuse. That's why even if you go for counseling sometimes, and then a counselor gives you advice like, hey, that person is very manipulative, please leave, you'll not listen, because to the mind it feels that that's a very very familiar place for you, so it feels safe. Yes, logically it is unsafe, but when your mind has become accustomed to something, like now accustomed to toxic relationship patterns, the mind will interpret everything it gets as it doesn't want, like as a challenge, as a challenge to the status quo. So if someone gives you advice of like leave, the mind will automatically reject that, and it will even translate it as, this person is not listening to me, this person does not understand abuse, this person does not understand victims of abuse, this person does not understand narcissistic abuse, because the mind is looking for everything to reject things which will challenge it. Or now your ego, how you perceive yourself because of all those past experiences, or because you've identified yourself with this relationship, will reject everything till you yourself make that decision, or till you yourself on a deeper level now make the decision which is good for you. So don't end up beating yourself because you're not listening for advice to the advice, but understand that actually it's just about the complex nature of the mind. Yeah, so sometimes advice, you may not listen to the advice because it's something which is coming from them, and it's just scratching the surface, and your subconscious mind is protecting you in this familiar and predictable space. It is hurtful, but it is still a familiar space to the mind. That's why most advices you read, you listen to, will not really work for you, and it will reach a point where it's mostly up to you to just make that decision, but advice may never really work. Hope that makes sense, guys. Go easy on yourself if you feel that you're not listening for advice, and because what will happen also is you may also end up berating yourself, hating yourself, or beating yourself up, because you're like, I'm not listening to the advice. Or you may end up regretting later that maybe I should have listened. No, you did not listen because the mind was keeping you safe, and the mind felt that the best thing to do was to be in that state in that moment. So don't beat yourself up. Just understand that the mind is a complex thing, and it will always do everything to maintain the status quo or to keep you in a familiar spot. Until next time, guys, have a nice day.